Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Inclusion. I'm your host, Manobina Chakraborty, and I'm so glad you could join us today. In today's episode, we will be talking about inclusive marriages, focusing on neurodiverse marriages in particular. And as you know, neurodiversity refers to the idea that neurological differences like autism or ADHD are just part of the natural variation in the human population. But how do these differences play out in relationships? What challenges do neurodiverse couples face? And what strengths emerge from these dynamics? So it's an important topic, and I'm very pleased to have with us as the special guest for today's episode, Dr. Anil Kumar Kundra. And Dr. Kundra is an institution in himself. So, Dr. Kundra, thank you very much for coming. And
Good evening.
very good evening. So, Dr.
I'm very
Kundra,
glad to be here.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm glad to be here too.
thank you so much, Dr. Kundra. Uh, as I was saying to my viewers, that Dr. Kundra is a living legend in India when we talk about the present and future of autistic people. So, Dr. Kundra, could you please tell us in detail about your work first?
About
Your work.
oh, so I've been into autism for the last 40 years plus, and over a period of time, now we have established two residential homes for children and adults with autism. The third one in Deoghar in Jharkhand
Yeah.
is also along the way. The work is just about to start sometime in early March. So we would be having three residential homes, which I call them as ashrams, or I would say that ashray, where these children can live for a lifetime
So
with
nice.
tender, loving care. So the concept is, that the children live with us for their entire lifetime, even when their parents are not around, when their parents have moved on in life. So, this I feel answers a question which is paramount in most parents' mind. Mere baat kya? After us, what? So, I think not only autism ashram, we also have a thriving community of autism guardians villages. These are communities created by us where parents live, and the basic concept again being that once the parents have moved on in life, they have found a secure home for their child, for their beloved child, I use the word. And I think मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि do everything you can as long as your eyes are open. किसी भी अपने बच्चे को, अपने प्यारे से बच्चे को भगवान भरोसे नहीं छोड़ना है. So that is the concept on which I have designed and conceived the concept of autism ashram and autism guardians villages. So
Okay.
wherever we start a home for residential, I mean a residential home for autistic children and adults, we also simultaneously start a small community of a minimum of 30 homes, and presently in Hyderabad we have 85 homes where families live. So it's a huge community, and they support each other, they are there for each other, and that is something which in the outside world I don't think any family living with a child with disability can hope to find. That's my work.
It's absolutely awesome, Dr. Kundra. Thank you very much that you are doing this for the community. And now let's start our session with something that isn't always discussed: the strengths in neurodiverse marriages. Dr. Kundra, from your experience, what are some of the common strengths you have observed in these types of relationships?
See, when young adults live with me, they form natural friendships, I would call, or rather, we can call them as relationships. I have found many a time young adults holding hands. It could be a young boy holding the hand of a young girl, or a young girl holding the hand of a younger person to her. And if you were to visit any home where a child with autism or any other disability lives, you will find that the child, the young adult, lives in isolation. Very few people, very few relatives, very few friends of the family hardly come to visit the young adult. So, that isolation which is there and which the young adult cannot define as to what he's going through. So, that is one of the biggest challenges that any child with autism or any other disability would be going through. And I think that is where a parent is worried as well.
Yeah,
I am going to talk about a couple of anecdotes while we go. And I'm not going to talk only about autism. It can be a child from any of the disabilities that could affect a young person. And how circumstances within the home, let us say a young adult has a sibling, younger or older. Now, the sibling gets married, and then suddenly, this young man or young girl finds a veil of a difference within the family. There's a young girl or a young man coming to the family, and let us presume that he has an elder brother or a younger brother, and he gets married. Now, for him, it is something, he just cannot visualize that a sibling who would spend some time with him at least. Some time. I would not say that he would give all his time for his sibling, but some time. He finds that that little time that he would be giving is no longer his anymore. The sibling he had has now found somebody else.
yeah,
And this is very confusing for a young adult with autism or any other disability. So he wonders, you know, and if he's been part of that ceremonies, he would like to undergo the same, find someone like his bhabi. Okay. And that is very, very challenging for an individual with disability. I had a call from a family once कि सर मेरे एक बेटे की शादी हुई है और अभी जो मेरा ऑटिस्टिक बच्चा है हु इज यंग अडल्ट वो कह रहा है कि मेरी भी शादी करो एंड देयर इज नो वे यू कैन एक्सप्लेन दैट देयर इज नो वे यू कैन एक्सप्लेन टू द यंग अडल्ट that marriage by itself among neurotypicals is a challenging affair. आप ये मत समझिए कि आप ही का we are facing a challenge in getting special persons to get into a marriage. आजकल जो न्यूरोटिपिकल्स हैं जो यंग जनरेशन है ये जनरेशन खुद शादी करने के लिए आगे पीछे होती है बिकॉज दे आर नॉट mentally ready to get married. Now, switch to a young adult with a disability. How ready is he? He could be a high functioning individual, but yet there are challenges which he cannot understand. There are challenges he cannot visualize. And मैं जैसे अभी बता रहा था, I had gone to Deoghar where we are setting up our new ashram, and there was a family from Patna who drove down all the way to meet me. तो मुझे वो कहने लगे, and the boy was quite able, but his entire focus was stuck on मुझे शादी करनी है. And the parents had one more child. Now, see, the idea of marriage by itself to a special person is a challenge, like I have been repeatedly saying. But to be forced into a marriage, see, it is not a spontaneous choice that a young adult makes. In India, unfortunately, and I'm going to talk only about India, I'm not going to talk about,
World.
marriages with yeah, abroad. मैं उनके बारे में बात भी नहीं करूंगा. Now, for the family, it is not a question of finding a partner for the young son. It is a question of passing on their own burden of looking after a child, a young adult, to a young lady who can be a future caregiver. Now, that is not the way to go about. See, just because you're financially very sound, आपको ये है कि भाई मेरे बाद क्या, after us what? So what do? You zero in on, and I'm going to use certain words, financially unstable girl or woman who is not so financially sound, economically weaker, I would say. आप you zero in on them, और you come forward with a proposal कि भाई मेरे बेटे से शादी कर लो. Now, there are chances that this young man may not be able to consummate the marriage. See, the biggest challenge, any woman, neurotypical, when she enters into wedlock, she comes with some dreams. And आपको लग रहा है कि इस शादी में, some of those dreams, not all. And the first thing would be to have a husband who would at least make her happier. Now, happier again is a very relative word. उसको आप कहाँ तक डिफाइन कर सकते हैं, और उसको कहाँ तक आप you know you can go up to. But ये जो happiness है, it starts with consummating the marriage. Now, many a time, unfortunately, मैंने जब उस फैमिली से पूछा कि आप जो भी लड़की के लिए सोच रहे हो, आपने सोच रखा होगा. Have you informed the young girl that your son has a challenge? Are you going to come clean with that lady and tell her as to what kind of a relationship and what kind of a challenge she would be entering into? I was shocked to learn that the family had not apprised the young girl that their son was autistic. Now, I would say that you're actually bringing in somebody to help your son into a relationship, into a physical relationship, into an emotional relationship without coming clean to the other person. आप ना कि अपने बच्चे के लिए सेल्फिश हो रहे हो, you are going to be so selfish as to make life of another person to be cheated into a life least expected. So that is where I differ in, inclusive matrimony की जब बात आती है. Now, मैं आपसे एक I would like to give an example. I know a family very personally, and their son is CP, but very intelligent, physically not active to the extent of almost 60-70% disability. Now, he was helped by his family right from the beginning, and today he is a chartered accountant. Now, the family, since the young man could understand the meaning of marriage because he has that IQ where he can understand.
Yeah.
उन्होंने उसकी शादी करवाई. And today I'm very happy to say that family, that couple have two little children,
Wow.
and both the children are neurotypical children, no issues with them. And here I really salute that lady, the way she has handled that entire thing. You know, I'm sure consummating the marriage would have been a challenge, but then they overcame all that. And today he goes around the country. मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा. He is a very highly respected individual in the field of disability, and his wife accompanies him whenever he talks. She interprets it for everybody. Okay. Now, this is a marriage I would say is the ultimate that one can think of even for a neurotypical family,
Mm.
where the husband and the wife, see, you're not just entering into a matrimony, you're also entering into a family that accepts you the way you are, and then holds your hand with all your challenges and takes you forward at every step. अभी ये शादी हुए कई साल हो चुके हैं. आई थिंक द चिल्ड्रन आर 5+ नाउ, एंड आई रियली एडमायर both and the family that performed the marriage. I was a little, you know, skeptical when I first heard that this young man was getting married. But then today, I am so happy I've been proven wrong. And we have a family, inclusive family, where the woman who came into his life understands his needs, his challenges, and is willing to walk holding his hand. And the way it is going on, I'm sure it is one of the most blessed families I've seen.
So nice. So nice to know this. Uh, since I work with neurodivergent children and young people, uh, for cerebral palsy, I think that neurological challenges are less, physical
Yes,
challenges are more. But
more.
when we talk about autistic people or maybe ADHD, uh, it is, I think, more difficult to understand the real meaning of marriage or provide that companionship to the other half. What is your opinion about it?
No, I think I know two families very closely.
Hmm.
Both these families have a child with autism.
Okay.
But both the parents are highly intelligent parents,
Mhm.
you know, maybe IITians and all that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But a very high level of ADHD. So much so, they are so intelligent, so understanding of the ways of the world, and they have wonderful wives. मैं दोनों से मिला हूं.
Okay.
This gentleman I know, he chucks a job like this. He dictates terms to the company. ऐसे काम करूंगा, accepted हो तो लीजिए मुझे.
Is he an autistic individual?
No, this is ADHD that we were talking about.
ADHD, yeah, ADHD. Yeah.
Both these individuals, the
Mm.
fathers, I mean, are having ADHD of a very high level. But the beauty is, both of them understand that they have ADHD. Both of them are taking medication for this. Both of them have a child with autism.
Okay.
And here, again, I'm telling you, I'll come down to the spouse much more than the individual who is,
And
you
the
know,
spouses are neurotypical, both of them.
absolutely.
Okay.
And both of their acceptance and the love that I have seen among them, it's amazing. A salute to both of them.
Yeah.
तो मैं नाम किसी का भी नहीं लूंगा, बट जो भी सुन रहे हैं
Yeah.
उन्हें पक्का पता लगेगा कि मैं किन की बात कर रहा हूँ.
We keep
And both
hearing
are
about,
excellent human beings
yeah, so
in
nice.
spite of the disability.
We keep hearing about Down syndrome. Boy and girl, they are having a relationship and then get married. Uh, what about autistic people? Husband and wife, both autistic. How can they form a relationship to get married later? Is it, have you seen this kind of things in your ashrams or anywhere else?
I've heard about a couple of them. I've not met them.
Okay.
There's one gentleman in Delhi
Hmm.
who is autistic
Okay.
and who is married to a neurotypical again.
Okay.
And it's been a long marriage,
Okay.
and both of them are doing well. But again, see, today is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
See, I am very, very daring as a professional.
Yeah.
आज देखिए हम लोग 8 young men with autism and 8 girls with autism,
So
सबको
nice.
मिलके हमने आउटिंग पर भेजा.
Wow.
I'll be sharing the pics tonight in on my Facebook post. So,
Okay.
holding hands, sitting together and eating.
So are they
But
friends or are they in a relationship?
no, they are not.
They are not. Okay. But
They are
they
not.
are getting the idea
So
of Valentine's Day and
the
yeah,
idea of giving them an opportunity,
okay. So nice.
is there. कि उनको अगर आप एक रिलेशनशिप डेवलप करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी ही नहीं दोगे.
तो कैसे करेंगे?
Yeah. Now, if you come to AGV,
Hmm.
I have one lane
Hmm.
where there's a young man,
Yeah.
right opposite to him, there's a young lady. Okay, both autistics.
Okay.
His mom is single too, and her mom is single too. They have such a beautiful understanding. Today morning, this young man was standing beside this girl taking pics, you know, and
Yeah.
both the mothers encouraging them to, live that spark, छोटी सी जो spark है, जो उन्हें खुद नहीं पता. And yet the mothers accept कि भाई, you know, they are, if you look at these two young individuals, they would make a very beautiful couple.
So
But
nice.
but they just don't know what that relationship means. I have a family of a young girl, uh, very beautiful girl. She's autistic, high functioning, but again, with all that, the parent, single father, he would want his daughter to get married. Now, again, I'm talking about he wants, the parent wants.
That is the thing.
If you were to talk to this young lady, she is least interested in developing a relationship, though she's capable of developing a relationship. So, relationships just cannot be forced into.
True.
They have to come from within. I sometimes make whenever she's with us. So I have another 6 feet, very handsome young man. उसका हाथ पकड़ के दोनों चलते हैं, एक दूसरे का हाथ पकड़ के. But I, how I wish that they could make a small conversation. Both she is high functional, he is moderately functional, but I have never seen them get into a conversation.
Because
Super.
communication is a challenge.
Because see, if you are to live together,
Yeah.
even small talk forms the basis of any relationship.
Yeah.
So, how much ever I wish, I have never seen them come together, or they are walking together, they are holding hands and walking. बट कन्वर्जेशन मैं पीछे से कई बार ऑब्जर्व करता हूँ, या जो भी स्टाफ हमारा उनको एकम्पनी कर रहा है, आई डोंट फाइंड देम टॉकिंग एट ऑल.
तो ये प्रॉब्लम तो न्यूरोडाइवर्स लाइक ऑटिस्टिक एंड न्यूरोटिपिकल ऐसे पार्टनर्स में हो तो और ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम होगा, राइट?
बहुत प्रॉब्लम होगा.
और ज्यादा होगा क्योंकि समवन विल लाइक थिंक अबाउट talking to various things, talking about various things, but the other partner will not be able
If
to.
you were to talk about a neurotypical entering into a matrimony with a autistic individual,
Mhm.
that individual has to understand autism the way it is. Autistic individuals, however high functional they are, sometimes can tend to get aggressive. Now, how
Emotional
well
regulations.
yeah, they can get aggressive.
Yeah.
And तो जब वो एग्रेसिव हो जाएगा एंड वायलेंट हो जाएगा, will the partner, will the neurotypical partner understand that this is a one of aggression, violence, and it does not mean anything? See, when abuse happens in a typical family,
Hmm.
in both the individuals, both understand that an abuse is happening, both understand the reason of the abuse. The person abusing also knows that he is crossing certain lines. But in autistic individuals, there is no line to be crossed. After the episode, if you were to ask as to why did you behave so violently, they would have no answer for that. मैं आपको एक और बहुत ब्यूटीफुल एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. See, I'm not trying to get negative into this. There is a family I know. The mother is intellectually disabled, moderately. The father was a very wealthy individual. उन्होंने a typical arranged marriage करवाई. And as it goes with any Indian family, You know, there was a lot of len den. I hope you're understanding. A lot of money exchanged. One way only.
One way, yeah.
या तो उन्होंने एक घर दिया और काफी सारा पैसा दिया. Now 2 years later they had a son, and the son was autistic. Now that man had very good intent. He was taking very good care of his wife, who was intellectually disabled. But when their son, after 2 years and odd, was diagnosed with autism, the husband went to his father in law, handed over the key of the house which was given to him, and the money that was given to him as gifts, पूरा लौटा के कहने लगा कि मैं आपकी एक बेटी की सेवा करने के लिए मैं तैयार था, but now to look after two individuals, one intellectually disabled, the other autistic, मुझसे नहीं होगा. He abandoned the family. So one has to be very careful in forcing our child to get into matrimony. तो ये जो आता है, it has to come from the neurotypical कि मुझे इनके साथ रहना है.
एक बात पूछनी थी.
हाँ
Can
जी.
compassion be the reason behind a relationship?
Yes, it can be.
Only compassion, no love.
Only compassion. जब तक आपके इधर से नहीं आएगी, it doesn't come from your heart. Any marriage for that matter. See, marriage is basically a journey come together by two individuals with compromises. काफी compromise करना पड़ता है. This is I'm talking about neurotypicals.
Every individual.
Now, here you have one neurotypical who understands the meaning of compassion, and there's another, the spouse does not understand because the IQ level or the intellectual disability is higher. In such a situation, it's only compassion and seva, bhav, that will work. Now, for example, two individuals get married. Over a period of time, one of them becomes sick. I'm talking about neurotypicals. So nobody abandons the spouse, man or woman. कोई छोड़ के नहीं जाता कि भाई अब तुम बीमार हो गए हो, अब मैं तुम्हारे साथ नहीं रह सकता, नहीं रह सकती. Nobody says this. Because they have come together as healthy individuals. Over a period of time, the other person, develops certain sickness. So they do take care of the partner. Now, इतना compassion over a period of time, जो relationship साथ गुजारी है, that helps in overcoming those years of wherein the other person becomes invalid, to an extent where they need help all the time. तो ये जो relationship is built on past years spent by, and compassion now comes to play. More than companionship, it is compassion that comes into place. So I think that may be missing in marriages which are where the other partner does not accept. So any parents who are now listening, tuned into this, I would say, agar you think that marriage to a individual can help your child in a better manner, तो come clean. जो भी आप पार्टनर ढूंढेंगे या मिलेगा, please be open about it. Don't try to hide the fact that your child, your young adult child, see the combination of words, Okay, though he's a young adult, I would still call him a child who cannot make his own decisions. तो जब भी आप you know when you plan, when you engineer a matrimony for your young adult, see I'm
Child.
using certain words because तो आपको एकदम क्लीन स्लेट दिखानी चाहिए, उसके ऊपर आप पहले से लिख के बता दो कि ये चीजें आपको चैलेंजेस फेस करने पड़ेंगे.
एक बात और पूछनी थी डॉक्टर कुंद्रा, मान लीजिए बता दिया, लेकिन आप एक बात पहले भी बोल रहे थे कि सम मे बी दी अदर पार्टनर इज फ्रॉम डिफरेंट बैकग्राउंड, मे बी नीडी और समथिंग लाइक दैट, तो वो मान जाएंगे, शायद मान जाएंगे, फिर भी वो शादी टिकेगी क्या ओनली कंपैशन पे?
मैं आपको एक और इंसिडेंट बताता हूँ विच इज देयर इज अ फैमिली इन उड़ीसा
या
and they have twins. The family had twins, has twins, और एक यंगर सिबलिंग भी था उनका. पेरेंट्स ने क्या किया, one of them was very high functioning autistic individual, both are autistic individuals. उन्होंने इन उड़ीसा में किसी गांव से एक लड़की लाई और अपने वो हाई फंक्शनिंग ऑटिस्टिक इंडिविजुअल से शादी की. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली द मैरिज वॉज नॉट कॉन्जुमेटेड. एक हफ्ते के अंदर, नाउ दे वर नॉट वेरी, आई मीन दिस इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से, दे हैव नॉट टोल्ड द यंग लेडी कि that she is getting married to an autistic individual with various challenges. शादी हो गई, 7 दिन के बाद में that girl came into her understanding as to what kind of family she got into, and then there were people who guided her, misguided her. उसने डिवोर्स फाइल कर दिया 7 दिन के बाद. So when we are talking about inclusive matrimony, to talk about a divorce, so they had good property, mind you. There were zamindars in Orissa, and you can imagine what a zamindar means. Half the property उस लड़की को देना पड़ा, and the boys are still there. They just did not know the meaning of the notice sent to them, to him. Parents only had to सुलझाओ that. जो देना लेना करके they settled the marriage. They settled the divorce, I'm sorry. And you're back to square one with your child. तो आपको बिल्कुल ऑनेस्ट होना पड़ेगा. इतना
मैं
बड़ा,
ये पूछ रही थी, मान लीजिए ऑनेस्ट हुए और एक गरीब घर की लड़की को लेके भी आए, लेकिन उसके बाद अगर वो लड़की नहीं रह पाई तो फिर भी वो डिवोर्स फाइल कर सकती है.
पर
कितनी भी आप ऑनेस्टी दिखाए, लेकिन वो भी तो एक यंग लड़की ही है, मे बी उसके पेरेंट्स ने माना था. ये होता है हमारे सोसाइटी में, इट्स वेरी कॉमन थिंग इन इंडियन. So maybe the girl understands after a few days that it's not possible to build a relationship only on compassion, and she wants a divorce. What to do at that time?
I think, see, any two individuals coming together with understanding, with the knowledge of what they're getting into, are not able to stay together. This applies to neurotypicals also. अगर एक इंडिविजुअल उस रिलेशनशिप में उस मैट्रिमोनी जो की थी उसमें नहीं रहना चाहता, इट इज बेटर टू गो इन फॉर द डिवोर्स इफ वन इंडिविजुअल आस्क्स.
Exactly.
कोई गलती नहीं है उसमें.
Exactly.
कि उसने आउट ऑफ कंपैशन माना, एग्री हुई कि भाई मैं निभा लूंगी. बट देन it's not 2 months, 2 years. It's going to be, let us say, a long relationship. And I'm sorry to say, आजकल की लड़कियां हो या लड़के हो, they would not want to sacrifice their entire life.
It's for everybody in our generation also. Even I am asked this question. I am not going to, I'm not ready to sacrifice my entire
Yeah.
life.
So मैं आपको एक बहुत ब्यूटीफुल एग्जांपल देता हूँ. There's a place called Mancherial in Telangana,
Okay.
and a family visited me. The young man was intellectually disabled.
Okay.
उन्होंने अपने ही कोई रिलेटिव्स में, इन साउथ इट इज वेरी कॉमन टू गेट मैरिड विद इन द फैमिली. ओके, कॉन्सैग्नियस मैरिज जिसको हम कहते हैं,
Okay.
वेयर द गर्ल ऑल्सो नोज, बचपन से उसको जानती है कि वो इंटेलेक्चुअली डिजेबल्ड है. शादी हो गई, बट शी फाउंड दैट शी कुड नॉट, यू नो, डे इन डे आउट का जो था वो नहीं कर पा रही थी. बट द ब्यूटिफुल थिंग इज she is continuing to stay within the in-laws family. छोड़कर नहीं गई है वो.
New.
She is still looking after that individual, more like a motherly caregiver.
Why?
मैंने उसको पूछा ये क्वेश्चन, मुझे विजिट किया था उन्होंने. अगेन दे हैड ए सन विद ऑटिज्म. तो मेरे पास आए थे. तो फिर मैंने, बिकॉज शी केम विद हर इन-लॉज माइंड यू, और वो मुझे कहने लगे हम इसको तो अपनी बेटी ही मानते हैं क्योंकि इसने हमारे बेटे को संभाला. यू नो, आप वर्ड्स को ध्यान से सुनेंगे, क्योंकि इसने मेरे बेटे को संभाला. एंड इफ शी वांट्स टू सेपरेट, we'll be very happy to help her out too. You know, this is the family saying कि अगर ये अलग होना चाहती है तो भी हम, we are agreed to it because she's done a lot for my son.
लेकिन वो अपने ऑटिस्टिक बच्चे को लेकर कहाँ जाएगी?
हाँ, again in India there's a big question mark, there's a taboo कि भाई वो कहाँ जाएगी. So she is quite happy in the confines of the safety of the in-laws home. She is willing to sacrifice उसकी जो future life है. She is willing to sacrifice.
क्योंकि अभी बेटा भी हो गया है ना, that is.
You know, again we are very good at hiding behind God's will. ये मेरी किस्मत में था. You know, it's so easy to, you know, उसके उसमें जाने के लिए. And मैंने उसके फादर इन लॉ को बहुत डांटा. यू कैन नॉट इमेजिन. आई एम वेरी ऑनेस्ट विद पेरेंट्स, ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स हु विजिट मी. तो मैंने बहुत डांटा. यू कैन नॉट इमेजिन, जैसे छोटे बच्चे को डांटते हैं. आई रियली गॉट अनॉयड विद हिम. आई सेड, हाउ कुड यू गेट योर सन मैरिड लाइक दिस, दो दिस गर्ल इज ट्राइंग टू, यू नो, बी सो अकोमोडेटिंग. तो बोलने लगा, सर हम उसको अपना बेटा नहीं मानते, इस लड़की को अपनी बेटी मानते हैं.
ये तो कोई बात नहीं हुई.
But it doesn't actually resolve what she's going through.
अगर अपनी बेटी होती तो शादी नहीं कराते, है ना?
बिल्कुल. I asked the same question. मैंने बोला, would you have done that? तो चुप रह गए. And he was telling me, सर आप जो बोलेंगे मैं डांट सुनने के लिए तैयार हूँ.
इससे क्या फायदा? तो आप क्या रिकमेंड करते हैं डॉक्टर कुंद्रा? मान लीजिए ऑटिस्टिक, दो ऑटिस्टिक पर्सन्स में शादी आप ज्यादा रिकमेंड करते हैं या एक न्यूरोटिपिकल एक एटिपिकल?
I think एक न्यूरोटिपिकल होना चाहिए.
ओके.
But there are a lot of examples within the US, in the US and in the Western world, where two autistic individuals also got married. And there are a lot of dating things happening around the world.
Yeah.
I would say chaperoned. कोई साथ जाता है to ensure that the girl is not harmed in any way.
Yeah.
ओके, ये सब हो रहा है इंडिया में. आई डोंट नो इफ two families would come together and say कि मेरा बेटा आपकी बेटी है, चलो इन दोनों को आज लेके कहीं जाते हैं, let them spend time together, though they will be under our direct supervision, but
Mhm.
मैंने ऐसे बहुत कम देखा है. आज फॉर एग्जाम्पल वैलेंटाइंस डे है. आई वुड लाइक टू आस्क एन ओपन क्वेश्चन टू ऑल द पेरेंट्स हु आर लिसनिंग इन. डिड यू एज ए पेरेंट allow your son or daughter to be accompanied by another individual with autism? As mothers, you can accompany them, no harm. But did you think that वो आधा घंटा जो they spend together would be a lifetime of happiness for them and for you? Here, let me tell one very interesting this thing. There is a inclusive matrimony एक website है.
Okay. There are a few websites, I guess.
Yeah, but
Disabled
this is
marriage and all these things. Yeah.
हाँ, ये आप फेसबुक पर देखेंगे तो आपको
Hmm.
इंक्लूसिव मैट्रिमोनी की एक वेबसाइट मिलेगी, एक एक पेज
देखा है,
मिलेगा फेसबुक
मैंने
पर,
देखा.
जिसमें लास्ट 5 years में दे हैव डन कमेंडेबल वर्क. बट अगेन दे डू, आई मीन दे हैव पब्लिश्ड a few success stories, but they are far, you know, I wouldn't say that that can be an example to go forward, but any parent contemplating, मैं तो कहूँगा कि just search for that Facebook page, inclusive matrimony, the topic that we are talking on, and you know, पता करें क्या हो रहा है, क्या
हाँ,
दुनिया बदल रही है.
मैंने देखा है. आ, लेकिन मुझे नहीं लगता कि जो जिस टॉपिक में हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं बेसिकली न्यूरो डाइवर्स मैरिजेस बहुत ज़्यादा सक्सेसफुल है वहाँ पे. मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगा.
जी.
If neurological differences are there, then the problem arises. I think the problem is more, challenge is more. Where the neurological differences are not there, only physical differences are there, maybe. In that cases, marriages are more successful. That's what I
Yeah.
observed. Okay,
True,
and
true.
how can families of two neurodivergent individuals, rather two autistic individuals, provide support for their marriage? What do you think? What role the families can play?
See, for example, we live in autism guardians village.
Yeah,
There are a lot of families with autism living there, having
massive.
young sons with autism, young girls with autism. सब हम लोग एक साथ रहते हैं वहाँ पर.
बिल्कुल.
Except for one or two families, मैंने नहीं देखा कि भाई कोई आउट ऑफ द वे जाके आपकी बेटी और मेरा बेटा चलो हम लेके जाते हैं, या इन दोनों को एक साथ जाने देते हैं घूमने के लिए, या if they are able to do that, I think that will be a very positive step towards creating a future relationship for their young son or daughter.
लेकिन शायद
पर
ऐसा
मैंने
लगता
बहुत कम देखा है.
शायद उनको ऐसा लगता होगा कि दो ऑटिस्टिक इंडिविजुअल मिलेंगे तो दोनों के अलग अलग नीड्स होंगे, लाइक सम एडिशनल नीड्स होंगे, तो दोनों एक दूसरे को देखेंगे कैसे. मतलब मे बी दैट इज द क्वेश्चन इन द पेरेंट्स माइंड, सो दे वांट one partner to be neurotypical.
Now, here, let me again be very clear. Very rarely would a parent want their son or daughter to be married to another autistic individual.
I know, I know.
बहुत ही रेयर मिलेगा पेरेंट जो
हाँ, मुझे
इतना
अब तक
डेयरिंग.
नहीं मिला है. मुझे अब तक
हाँ
नहीं
जी,
मिला.
नॉट इन इंडिया एटलीस्ट. हाँ, they would love to have a neurotypical
Yeah.
partner for their son or daughter. Why? Because they look to that partner as a future caregiver for their son or daughter.
Exactly.
जब तक आप ये मेंटेलिटी से बाहर नहीं आएंगे, that you are creating a relationship for your son or daughter for the future. He must get a companion. वो नहीं ढूंढ के अगर आप एक केयर गिवर ढूंढ रहे हो, you know, like many families with autism, they have a second child.
Mm.
That second child invariably कहते हैं तुझे ही इसको देखना है, जब तू
Exactly.
बड़ा होगा
Mm.
भैया को देखना है, बहन को देखना है. Now this kind of a, tutoring the mind, conditioning the mind of another family individual, that can never lead to a happy companionship.
Yeah.
आपको जब जबरदस्ती किसी रिलेशनशिप में रखा जा रहा है, that is not acceptable.
Exactly. अच्छा, एक चीज और पूछनी थी डॉक्टर कुंद्रा, सिंस यू रन दैट ऑटिज्म विलेज एंड यू सेड दैट यू हैव many families living together with their autistic children. अगर ऐसे दो फैमिली के बच्चों में शादी हुई और जब मम्मी पापा नहीं रहेंगे, एक ना एक दिन तो आएगा नहीं रहेंगे, तब उनको देखने की जरूरत हुई तो उनको क्या आपका आश्रम शेल्टर्ड सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करेगा?
Yeah, yeah, of course. See, the very concept on which Autism Guardians Village is built is that when the parents of one individual with autism, or let us say in this case, two individuals with autism,
Yeah,
when the parents are not around,
yeah,
who will look after them?
exactly.
Here, our very concept is the individuals will continue to live where they are living, in the house that the parents gave them.
Okay. And so maybe
And
two
we,
people are
we
getting
send a
married.
caregiver. Hanji?
Hmm. If two people are getting married, will they live separately in that village और अपने मम्मी पापा के साथ ही रहेंगे? Two autistic people I'm talking about.
Again, you see, this is uh, in very rarest of rare cases, an autistic individual could hold on to a job and support his spouse and the future family of his. Very rarest of rare case. In most cases, कितना भी हाई फंक्शनिंग हो, उसको एक सपोर्ट की जरूरत सारी उम्र रहेगी. And that is where the AGV concept of supporting individual or individuals with autism
Hmm.
comes into being. कि वो लोग जब भी उनको जरूरत पड़े,
Hmm.
a support system from our side exists to help them
Yeah.
for
So
a
I think
lifetime.
the parents can think about this type of matrimony, like two autistic persons getting married, and in your
I
village
think
as well.
ये अभी देखिए,
In
today's talk is going to be an eye opener to most of the individuals and the families living in Autism Guardians Village.
yeah, true,
जो
true.
थॉट्स उनके माइंड में नहीं आई हैं, आज आपकी और हमारी इस बातचीत से उनके मन में आएगी कि क्यों ना हम, व्हाई नॉट, यू नो व्हाई नॉट वी ट्राई to make two families come together
Yeah,
during
yeah.
their lifetime, support two individuals with autism together. I think
Mm-hmm.
if this can happen, my purpose in creating AGV, I would say कि
Successful, yeah.
वो अचीव हो गया जो हम लोग कभी सोच भी नहीं सकते थे.
आप डॉक्टर कुंद्रा, जब आपको टाइम मिले तो आप थोड़ा जल्दी जल्दी आइए मेरे प्रोग्राम में, तो ऐसे डिस्कशन होने से शायद बहुत लोगों के लिए अच्छा होता है. एंड आई ओनली टॉक एंड यू आर
आई डोंट
डूइंग इट.
माइंड. आपको जब भी कोई अच्छा सा टॉपिक लगे कि वी
जी,
कैन टॉक ऑन,
जी.
I would be very happy to contribute in any which way, to help families understand the challenges that are there. और देखिए, life of a child with an a young adult with autism is very very isolated.
Mhm.
अगर उस isolation को हम दूर कर पाए,
Mm.
you know, they
Yeah.
just sit in their room, in their homes. कोई विजिटर नहीं. अगर एक दूसरे के घर में भी ये लोग विजिट कर पाए, you know,
Yeah. It's
and
very
uske
important.
room में जाके पूछें कैसे हो बेटा. I think
Exactly.
that will make a whole lot of difference, and
Yeah.
I think every family should do that.
Yeah. So that is what my last question actually was thinking about asking you. That do you have any advice for autistic families, parents, uh, to
For
help for helping in this situation, like to help
yeah,
children getting married?
yeah, I think see, I have seen lot of autism families
Yeah.
localized. I'm talking about, let us say there are 30 families living in a town like Ranchi, 40
Yeah.
families living. They arrange picnics वगैरह अरेंज करते हैं.
Okay.
पूरी फैमिलीज मिलके कहीं जाते हैं. आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट वन. इट्स ए हाइपोथेटिकल रांची आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. मैं पर्टिकुलरली नहीं बात कर रहा हूँ. तो जब ये जाते हैं, खाते हैं, पीते हैं, कुछ गेम्स ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं, एंड देन द डे फिनिश एंड एवरीथिंग इज क्लोज्ड. आई वुड सजेस्ट whenever you are organizing get togethers, आप उसको कैरी फॉरवर्ड कीजिए इंडिविजुअली.
Exactly.
अगर एक दूसरे के घर विजिट कर सकते हैं, most of the families meet at a center where their child is undergoing therapy.
Yeah.
वहां से एक ऐसा रिलेशनशिप, व्हाट आई कॉल ए सर्कल ऑफ ट्रस्ट बिल्ड करें, वेयर two families meet often, trust each other, trust each other's children being together, rather than पता नहीं क्या कर रहा होगा, पता नहीं क्या कर रही होगी. Mothers with their anxiety. Even a neurotypical बच्चे की माँ जब बेटे की शादी होती है या बेटी की शादी होती है, the anxiety level shoot through the roof.
Yeah. True. True.
So you can imagine a couple of hours you can make your young adult son or daughter spend
Yeah.
in the company of another young adult.
Yeah.
I think you would be giving that, वो छोटी सी खुशी. We all live on छोटी छोटी खुशियां.
Exactly.
वो जो छोटी खुशी है, अगर आप अपने बच्चे को दे सकते हो, I mean, I would really salute you.
So nice. That's such a valuable advice, Dr. Kundra. Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us today.
So glad to be
And,
with you.
and it's been such an enriching conversation. And I'm sure our viewers, most of them are parents of neurodivergent young people, gained a lot from this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Remember, inclusion starts with understanding, and every relationship is unique. Take the time to learn, communicate, and support one another. We'll see you next time on the 70th episode of Let's Talk Inclusion. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Bye, Dr. Kundra.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye, Manobina. So nice to be with you.